Okay, let's get into it. We're doing a deep dive into, one of the most essential and just haunting stories ever written, Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis.
It really is. It's a story that, it almost defines a certain kind of modern anxiety.
Yeah.
And it came from such a contradictory life. Kafka was born in Prague, 1883, and he was actually, by trade, a very good lawyer.
Right, like a super efficient attorney.
Exactly. Methodical, effective. But his real life was in the stories he wrote in his spare time. And those stories, well, they completely changed how we think about reality.
And that's the tension right there, isn't it? The
Yeah.
clash between total efficiency and absolute chaos. It's his whole style. He blends these incredibly realistic, almost boring settings, a normal apartment, a regular job, with something utterly fantastic.
And he filters it all through existentialism, through the absurd.
So that's really our mission for you today. We're not just going to recap the plot.
No, not at all. We are going to trace the rapid physical and psychological collapse of our main character, Gregor Samsa. And at the same time, we're going to follow this parallel track. How his monstrous change is the exact thing that sparks this very unsettling resurrection for his family.
The story just throws you right in. No warning. Gregor Samsa, a traveling salesman, wakes up one morning from some bad dreams. And, well, he's a monstrous insect.
And the description is so immediate, so visceral. He's on his back, which is hard like a shell. He lifts his head and sees this, bulging brown belly with ridges. And all these legs, so many ridiculously small, helpless legs, just sort of waving in the air.
It's instantly real for him. And this is our first hit of the absurd, right?
Yeah.
What's his first thought?
Not, I'm a giant bug.
No, it's, oh no, I've missed my 5 a.m. train. He's already used to sleeping terribly, but now he physically can't move.
And that's so critical. His inner monologue isn't about his body. It's about the crushing weight of his job. The insect thing, it's just a physical manifestation of the trap he was already in as a human.
He absolutely hates being a traveling salesman. He thinks about the exhausting travel, the stress of connections, the terrible food.
And the relationships. He calls them constantly changing, never durable human relationships that never reach cordiality. He just wants out.
But he can't quit. And the reason is debt. He calculates he needs another, 5 or 6 years?
5 or 6 years of this life just to pay off a debt his parents owe his boss. That financial servitude is the only thing holding this family together.
So his new reality immediately clashes with that old schedule. It's almost 7, he's missed the train, and his family is knocking on his locked door. He tries to answer them.
And his voice is gone. He can form the words in his head, but what comes out is his old voice mixed with this awful, painful chirping sound from deep inside him. His humanity is literally being garbled.
It's the perfect illustration of the absurd, isn't it? A rational mind trying to communicate from inside a completely irrational, meaningless reality.
And that failure to communicate brings the outside world knocking. The manager shows up, radiating suspicion.
Of course. And the first thing he suggests is that Gregor's delay might be about money. A collection he was supposed to have. It just shows you the total distrust of the system.
It tells you everything you need to know, right? Even when he was their perfect human workhorse, the sole provider, they already saw him as unreliable. The system has no room for humanity.
Meanwhile, Gregor is just trying to get out of bed. He's rolling and failing and finally just throws himself onto the floor. Lands hard. He notes his back is surprisingly elastic.
He knows he has to open that door to save his job, to save his family, so he manages it with his jaws, with his mandibles. And there's this horrific detail of a brown liquid, maybe saliva, maybe blood, oozing out as he turns the key.
And when the door opens, the reactions are just instant.
Yeah.
Devastating. The manager makes this sound and backed away.
The mother just collapses onto the floor, and the father, the patriarch, he just clenches his fist.
Gregor makes one last, pathetic plea, tries to talk about how dedicated he is, but the manager is already running out of the apartment.
And the father's response isn't pity, it's not shock, it's immediate aggressive violence. He grabs the manager's cane and a newspaper and just starts herding Gregor back into his room.
Shoving him. He forces him through the doorway, which is too narrow, and it wounds his side badly. He's bleeding heavily.
And that's the moment. The transformation has now physically cut him off from his family, and the person he sacrificed everything for is the one who dealt the first real violent blow.
So now Gregor is wounded, he's isolated, and the focus really shifts to the family's shocking adaptability. The first sign of his complete break from humanity is what?
It's his diet. Milk, his favorite human drink, is now completely disgusting to him. His sister, Greta, she's the one who sort of steps up.
She brings him a whole buffet of options on an old newspaper to see what he'll eat.
And it's just this list of horrifying things. Rotten vegetables, old bones with this weird hard white sauce on them, raisins, almonds.
And old inedible cheese, and he goes straight for the spoiled food.
Devours it with joy. He's embracing decay. It's Kafka telling us his psychological break is complete. He doesn't belong to the clean, orderly human world anymore.
And then, crucially, the father reveals the family's actual financial situation. Gregor thought he was their sole support.
Right, but it turns out they had a little nest egg saved from the father's failed business 5 years ago. Money Gregor had actually provided. But it's only enough for maybe a year, 2 at most.
So the whole dynamic flips. The dependent family is forced into independence. The father gets a job as a bank orderly. The mother starts sewing, even with her asthma. And Greta gets a job as a sales clerk.
Let's talk about the father's uniform for a second. This stiff blue bank uniform. He clings to it. He refuses to take it off, even at home. It's like his new armor, a symbol of his return to rigid social authority now that Gregor's has collapsed.
It's a fascinating replacement. And while they're all adapting, Gregor is too. He discovers he can crawl on the walls and the ceiling. He finds this strange new freedom in it.
Which leads to this really poignant conflict over the furniture in his room. Greta, trying to be helpful, suggests they move it all out to give him more crawling space.
But the mother objects. She says removing it would mean they've lost all hope, that it would make him feel abandoned. She wants to keep the room the same for when he returns to being human.
And Gregor, listening from under the couch, he agrees with his mother. He needs those things, those symbols of his human life, to keep him from just giving in completely to senseless crawling.
This whole debate leads directly to the second climax. They're trying to move the furniture, and Gregor sees this framed picture on the wall, a woman in furs that he'd cut out of a magazine himself. He desperately clings to it to stop them from taking it.
The mother sees him, this giant insect plastered over the picture, screams and just faints.
And the father comes home to this scene of chaos. He completely misinterprets it, thinks Gregor must have attacked them, and he just snaps.
He'd filled his pockets with apples from the fruit bowl on his way in, and he starts throwing them at Gregor. It's just brutal irony. The new provider using food, the symbol of life, as a weapon.
And one of the apples gets lodged deep in Gregor's back. It paralyzes him. The mother runs in, begs the father to stop, but the damage is done. It's the last time anyone physically defends him, and it's too late.
That apple wound is permanent. He's basically an old invalid now. It takes him minutes just to cross the room. And the family, well, they're just exhausted.
Yeah, the attention just evaporates. The father sleeps in his now filthy uniform. Greta's care becomes a chore. She just shoves food in with her foot and sweeps it out later.
They get desperate. They start selling off family jewelry. And they rent out a room to 3 very severe, bearded lodgers.
The lodgers are the final stage of his humiliation. They demand absolute order, so the family starts using Gregor's room as a storage closet. A junk room.
Yeah, they just throw old furniture, trash cans, whatever, in on top of him. He's living in a garbage pit, covered in filth. But even then, there's this one last flicker of his human soul.
It's the music. Greta starts playing the violin for the lodgers.
And Gregor hears it. And it feels like longed-for nourishment. He's drawn to it, covered in filth. He crawls out into the living room. He even has this beautiful human thought that he'll tell Greta he wanted to send her to the conservatory.
But that dream is just shattered. The middle lodger spots him, points. The music stops.
And the lodgers are disgusted. They announce they're leaving immediately without paying because of the repugnant circumstances.
That's the final straw for Greta. The financial consequence of his existence laid bare one last time.
She just breaks down. She turns to her parents and says it. This cannot continue. We must try to get rid of it.
This, not him.
Exactly. And her logic is so chilling. She says, you have to dismiss the idea that this is Gregor. Because if it were Gregor, he would have realized he was a burden and would have left voluntarily to spare them.
Wow. His failure to die is proof he isn't human enough to deserve their love.
And he hears every word, he understands, and he agrees with them. He drags his body back to his room, thinking that he had to disappear. And he dies around 3 a.m, thinking of his family with affection and emotion.
And the family's reaction to his death.
Total profound relief. The cleaning woman finds the body and shouts, look, he's dead, completely dead. They literally thank God.
And the only thing they do is clean house. The father kicks the lodgers out immediately.
And the final scene is just... it's like a different book. They take a trolley car out to the countryside. It's late March, the sun is warm, they're relaxed, and they look at Greta and realize she's blossomed, she's fresh and beautiful.
All the hardship is forgotten. And their first thought is that it's time to find her a good husband. Their new dreams and good intentions are built right on top of Gregor's grave.
That's the final brutal twist. Gregor's burden, his servitude, and finally his death. That was the catalyst. It's what forced them out of their passive dependency and into their own lives. His failure as a man is what allowed them to succeed as a family unit.
So that's the deeply unsettling journey we've traced for you. The family's final, sunlit happiness, and especially Greta's transformation into this desirable young woman. It's all purchased directly by the death of the son who used to support them.
When faced with this absurd, impossible burden, the family chose self-preservation. And in the logic of the story, they were rewarded for it.
Which leaves a pretty big question for you to think about. What does this final, almost happy ending tell us about the nature of love and duty when things become truly unbearable? What's the real hidden cost of the family's final, beautiful liberation?